Here's our quorum is walking through the door.
That would be you. We managed to find it.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you open the roll? All right. Thank y'all. We have a quorum, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to, as we traditionally try to do, move through as much as possible on an expedited manner. The first is I got an email from Senator Lucas this morning that SJ 265, dealing with municipal solid waste, she is asking that it be stricken, and that is on page 5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded that SJ 265 be stricken. All in favor of that motion, please vote. Oh, this SJ's, I'm sorry. Just so the members remember that we, on SJ's, we have a voice vote. So all in favor of the motion,
Aye.
please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is stricken. Now, let's move to we're going to go ahead and take up all the designations since we can deal with a number of members, and then because the other ones will take a little longer. So we're going to call them up, and then I'm going to ask for a motion to report these in a block. So if any member has somebody here for their particular resolution and would like to say something, please pop on up to the podium, or if you're on the committee from the dais. Senator Locke has, this is on page 11, SJ 272, August 13th, 2019, as Shipbuilders Day. Senator Locke, anything to? And she likes it.
It just establishes an annual day of recognition for shipbuilders and the shipbuilding industry as a celebration of their contribution to the economic vitality of the Commonwealth.
Thank you. SJ 277, Senator Sturtevant, designating September and each year as Resiliency Week in Virginia. Senator Sturtevant. All right. SJ 286 is my resolution, and it is designating June of 2019 as Move Over Awareness Month in honor of Lieutenant Brad Turner Clark. And as the members recall, Lieutenant Clark's wife was with us in the gallery yesterday. SJ 287, Senator Dance, designating August 16th, 2019 as Dr. Wyatt T. Walker Day. Senator Dance, would you like to give us a 15-second statement about Dr. Wyatt T. Walker?
The hearts and attitudes of our nation and propel this country to move forward on a path toward respect, human dignity, and equality. Through spiritual guidance, dynamic advocacy, and a commitment to public service, this man of great vision endeavored to change the world and did so with grace and benevolence. Does that sound good enough for you?
That is perfect. Thank you, Senator Dance.
Okay.
Next is designating February, it's SJ 289, that's my resolution designating February 20th, 2019 as Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation Awareness Day. My father died from heart issues, so that's important personally. SJ 298, Senator McClellan, designating August 2019 as Breastfeeding Awareness Month. And Senator McClellan, I saw you walk in. If you can give us a few moments, this is on a good path.
Yeah. is self-explanatory. The day was selected because that is a national day that recognizes the benefits of and raising awareness about the benefits of breastfeeding. So it's exactly what you said it
I
was.
never miss an opportunity to talk about Reagan, and so my personal experience is it's very important.
Yes.
Breastfeeding is extremely important. Senator McClellan, you also have SJ 299, which is World Prematurity Day.
Yes, that is also a designated day internationally. And as the mother of a preemie, my daughter was born 9 weeks early by emergency C-section, spent 6 weeks in the NICU. I know how important it is that we support the parents and families of premature children and do all we can to prevent it. And that's what this resolution and this day is all about.
Thank you. SJ 314, Senator Vogel's Montessori Education Day, January 6, 2020. Okay. Senator Vogel says that it's an excellent resolution. SJ 338, Senator Lewis, Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness and Prevention Month of July. Senator Lewis, if this hadn't been so important, you would not have gotten unanimous consent to get this one in.
I appreciate that. Just comes at the request of physicians from CHKD. This is the most frequently occurring birth defect in the United States, Mr. Chairman, and I think there are technical amendments to that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Senator Norman moves and Senator Hanger seconds the, you have substitute? Substitute to SJ 398. All in favor of that substitute, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Senator Lewis. Now, Senator Norman moves that SJ 272, SJ 277, SJ 286, SJ 287, SJ 289, SJ 298, SJ 299, SJ 314, and SJ 338 in the nature of a substitute be reported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and those resolutions are reported. All right. Now, I know we have Hal with us from JLARC, so why don't we take up those quickly? And Hal, before everybody comes up, could you just step up, and we know who you are because we see you a lot, but you could tell everybody who you are and JLARC's bandwidth capacity right now briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Hal Greer from JLARC. Currently, JLARC has a full plate. We have a long list of studies in our pipeline that we are currently undertaking, and we also are now following a process where our studies are coming through the direction of our commission instead of through resolution as a general rule.
Any members have any questions for Mr. Greer?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Reeves.
I'd just like to tell you thank you for the study you did on foster care and the amount of work that it took to push that thing out, and that it was critical to the legislation that's been making its way through the General Assembly. And I just want to tell you on behalf of those of us who have supported that, I know all members of the Senate did, but I just want to say thank you for the tremendous amount of work you did on that.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Senator, very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Greer. So Senator Chase, SJ 285. And this is a new JLARC study. So you've heard about our capacity. If you want to give us a brief statement. But
I'll cut to the chase, Mr. Chairman.
That would be excellent. But
thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I've actually been working on this bill for 2 years now. It was brought before local governments. And here's the challenge that we have in a nutshell is that I have constituents who feel that these EDAs are not being held accountable to elected representatives, people that they put in office. The first bill that we put in had to do with making sure that the expenditures that were done by the EDAs were approved by the local board of supervisors. The challenge that we have is that there are a lot of expenditures that are being made that in large amounts, like whole projects. Like I'm looking at Chesterfield, we had the Matilka mega site, which was all over the news. And you had an independent group of people through the, we're not talking about an economic development department, we're talking about an economic development authority. And the concern here is a checks and balance and making sure that the EDA is held accountable, that they're not doing things outside of the will of the people, which is what happened in this particular case, but we're finding other cases outside of Virginia where this is happening. We just like a study to be done to determine how this, what's going on across the state with EDAs, making sure that they're accountable to the people and that they're not getting ahead of themselves and putting forward projects like the Matoaka mega site, where I had 44,000 residents who opposed this issue. They looked at their comprehensive plan, they purchased their homes, and they said, when we moved to this community, this was zoned residential, and now the Board of Supervisors wants to come in and change that to industrial, and they felt their voices weren't being heard. And so the Board of Supervisors says, well, this is a decision that the Economic Development Authority is making. And I just think that there needs to be some type of study. I know I don't like to use the word shadow government because it has a conspiracy theory kind of connotation, but I feel like if we don't put the proper checks and balances in place on these EDAs, that while that you have good players, you're also going to have bad players, and they're going to make decisions, these EDAs, independently of the Board of Supervisors and the elected officials that put them there. And my concern is that the EDA's decisions are going to trump and actually hurt the residents, and the residents have no recourse for holding them accountable.
Thank you. So what I would suggest is I'm going to entertain a motion to pass by indefinitely, but if you would like to send a letter to the co-chairman of JLARC, which is a House and Senate, for them to put it on the list to be reviewed.
Okay.
Because it's always possible that some, and this does happen, that some study falls off. So if later in the year there became capacity, that it could be at least considered in that group before we get back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do actually have questions justifying a statewide EDA JLARC study that I would like to present with that list to go in that letter, asking
Absolutely.
that.
Include that in your letter. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want this or
No, if you can send the,
to you?
no, you
Who
can
wants
send the letter to the House Chairman and the Delegate Landis is the, so to Delegate Landis and Senator Normett to be considered. Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Chase, I just wanted to share that I'm on the same page with you on that. I used to have the opportunity to chair the Commonwealth Competition Council, and we had a member of that council who was a professor at Virginia State University who had done an in-depth study on authorities, not just industrial development authorities, but authorities. But really, it can be and is at times an affront to representative government, because you've got these individuals with a lot of authority that are one step removed from accountability to the voters. So I agree with you.
Thank
Very
you.
well. Thank you.
And with that, Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that SJ 285 be PDBI'd with understanding that Senator Chase is going to send a letter to Delegate Landis asking it to be placed on the consideration list. With all in favor, please, this one signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And that motion is agreed to. Thank you, Senator Chase. Senator Lewis, and I was probably too generous with Senator Chase. I'm not going to be as generous with the rest of the patrons.
I'm not, Mr. Chairman.
So,
It won't take 2 seconds.
I
I was unaware of the new process, and I appreciate the committee.
Part of it is just
understand.
The capacity.
And this one, Mr. Chairman, as it says, last time we took a look at this was May of 2000. So I just feel like it's time, especially with the cutbacks we made during the Great Recession, that we take another fresh look at this. And I will follow the new process and do a letter requesting that to the JLARC chairs, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Senator Hanger moves and Senator Ruff seconds that SJ 307 be PBI'd with the same possibility that Senator Lewis could send a letter to Delegate Landis to ask that it be considered if space does become available. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is motion to PBI is agreed to. Senator Deeds, SJ 312, and
Beginning in the fall of 2017, the highest insurance rates in the country were in the Charlottesville area. Those rates went through the review process of the Bureau of Insurance. I've met with them a number of times. I've reviewed the law, and this is just asking JLARC to review the review process to see if we can do a better job of holding rates in place. But I understand your process, and I'm going to write the same
and
letter.
several. Thank you, Senator Deeds. So Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that SJ 312 be PBI'd, and Senator Deeds will send a letter to Delegate Landis, ask that it be placed on the to be considered list. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and that is PBI'd. Senator Deeds, you're next on our next section, which is page 3 of your aqua sheets there. Senator Deeds, this is to SJ 301, is continued to joint
To
study.
extend by 2 years the joint study on mental health. And the problem is, we've come to realize that this is just like eating an elephant. The more you eat, the more you have to eat. We'll never solve the problems, but we want 2 more years before we have to issue a final report. We've got a serious amount of work still ahead of us.
So my question is, because there's an intervening election, should we make this 1 year, 2020, and then let the next year's body, because some of us will likely be here, some of us will likely not be.
And the reason why I would like for you to go ahead and continue it for 2 years is whether I return, whether any of us return, the issue still needs to be addressed. The issues will remain, and hope there will be somebody there that has to continue this work. And here's the problem. In the 90s, there was a mental health commission chaired by Senator Gartland, and it was personality driven. And once he left, it was folded into the Joint Commission on Health Care, and it basically went away. So the issues remain. The issues remain for us. So whoever the personalities are, I want these issues to be addressed.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Wagner.
what does elephant taste like?
Well,
Senator Hanger.
it's like chicken.
Motion is that SJ 301 be reported. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is reported.
Thank you very much.
Senator Marsden. Senate Bill 1097, page 3. Senator Marsden, you have some choices today. Your choice is this could be amended to go to 2020, it'd be extended to 2020, and take out the prohibition language relating to general funds, or if it goes forward, it's going to go to finance, which may or may not meet again. So you can have your choice.
I'll take door number 1.
Okay. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Wagner seconds that the language in Senate Bill 1097 relating to repeal of the prohibition of using general funds to support the commission be stricken from the bill, and the sunset date be July 1, 2020. Am I reading that? Yes, July 1, 2020. All in favor of those amendments, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and those amendments are agreed to. And now Senator Hanger moves that Senate Bill as amended 1097 be reported. All in favor of that, please signify by voting. Stanley, would you like to vote Senator Newman? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will get us through the 2019 special event we're putting on, so I thank you.
Thank you. And that is reported 16-0. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on page 4 of the executive list. Senator Lewis, Senate Bill 1561. This is directing DEQ.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. To update the windows into a green Virginia. I think there's some amendments to this too, Mr. Chairman.
If it, Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff second, that the amendments be agreed to. Tell us what the amendments do, Senator Lewis.
They're purely technical, I think, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there's any substantive deviation or change in the amendments. The bill itself, Mr. Chairman, updates windows into Green, Virginia for the 6th grade curriculum. There's been some misconception about what this does. This does absolutely nothing to change SOLs. I think on the House side, they were under the impression that it did. It does not. Last year, we passed Senate Bill 218 regarding beneficial use in the Commonwealth. This is a learning aid for teachers. It needs to be updated because the curriculum is missing recycling, beneficial use, and reuse content. This is supported by Recycle Virginia Coalition, which includes the manufacturers, the retailers, and environmental groups. And they all support this bill, and there is absolutely no fiscal impact, Mr. Chairman.
So, as you are aware, the House did not look upon this favorably, but we make independent determinations. My sheet indicates that DOE has said that there is some fiscal impact, but I have not gotten a note from Finance on my latest list that they wanted it. So just tell you, if it moves here, they might come a call in later
Mr.
today.
Chairman. Okay, I'm looking at my fiscal impact statement, and it didn't.
Regardless, I don't have a request from Finance, so I'm not.
Oh, okay.
The motion won't be to go there, but I just want to let you know that it could be. So is there a motion, well, all in favor of the amendments as proposed by Senator Lewis, please, and moved by Senator Hanger, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, and those amendments are agreed to. Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion to report Senate Bill 1561. Any discussion from the members? Hearing none, all in favor, please please vote on the voting board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee.
That is reported 16-0. Senator Edwards, 1618.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is the Broadband Advisory Council bill. There is a substitute. And the substitute, by the way, conforms to Delegate Byron's bill that has been approved as reported, at least out of the House committee, I think.
So Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds. The substitute that's being passed out, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And the substitute is agreed to.
What it does, Mr. Chairman, is it increases the Broadband Advisory Council from 14 to 17 members. The 3 additional members are 1 additional senator, from 2 senators to 3 senators. It provides for a representative of a wireless service authority and a representative of the co-ops. So those are the 3 new members. In addition, as an ex officio member, there's an additional member, Secretary of Administration is an additional ex officio member, and there's some other technical changes.
All right, any members have any questions for Senator Edwards? Anybody in the audience wish to opine one way or the other? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make you aware that there was another bill that Senator Locke sponsored that the Senate passed. It's Senate Bill 1444. And that bill actually made the council permanent. And it also addressed the appointments of the secretaries a little bit differently in that it allowed the governor to select 3 of his secretaries instead of specifying them as in Senator Edwards's bill. And that has passed the Senate.
So is this now, would this be in conflict with that? Okay.
The conflict is, permanent is not a conflict, but the governor's appointees are in conflict.
No, there's 2 conflicts. One is that the council is made permanent by Senator Locke's bill, and yours has a sunset.
But that's not a conflict. Oh, well.
So Jenny, in order to fix this, we'd have to eliminate all the clauses 2, 3, and 4, is that right?
You would repeal the ones dealing with the council and
the expiration parts?
And the office, too.
We'll
Yeah, they would need to be repealed instead of.
The enactment clauses need to be repealed, all of them?
So let me ask you, Jenny, let me ask you this. What if we just went forward with the changing the membership from 17 and adding in those, the wireless, the representatives from the co-op?
Then there would be no conflict, and what the provisions of Senator Locke's bill contains would go forward without any conflict.
Senator Edwards, would you like to do that?
Yes, I would. So as I
So
understand.
Senator Hanger is going to move, Senator Ruff is going to second that your substitute, let me ask you, they're going to move to reconsider the adoption of the substitute. All in favor of reconsidering the adoption of substitute, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Substitute is reconsidered. So we're going to withdraw the substitute, and we're going to go back to the original bill and amend the membership and amend who the membership is to include that one shall be the language on lines 30, 31, and 32. And that'll get us not in conflict, correct, Jenny? And that's representative from Wireless Service Authority and the co-ops.
And the other piece of it would be to address the appointment of the secretaries, so that Senator Locke's bill is that the executive director of the Center for Rural Virginia and 3 secretaries as defined in section 2.2-200.
So if we,
Could we go, Jenny, so we're changing from 14 to 17 the membership, is that right?
That's right.
And that we add a senator from 2 to 3 senators as a member, correct?
That's right.
And then a representative of a wireless service authority,
That's right.
and then a representative from the co-ops.
That's right.
And
on
that's
the
what-
if we do
membership.
those changes.
That's all.
And don't do anything else, then we're not in conflict.
Yeah, and that's it?
You're still in conflict in the way that the ex officio secretaries are named.
Should we leave that out?
Yes.
Okay, so,
So that's what, we're going
Yeah,
to strike all that
right,
from
that's
from being addressed in the bill.
okay,
We good?
Then that resolves the conflict.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what Singer Hanger moves. We're adding a Senate member, moving from 14 to 17, and wireless rep and the co-op rep, and that's all. Okay. So Hanger moves and a rough seconds that the substitute be prepared in that fashion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. And so with that, any other discussion? Senator Hanger moves that the Senate Bill 1618 in the nature of the substitute with additional Senate member, a wireless infrastructure member, and a co-op member be added to the board that will now be 17 members, be reported. All in favor of that, please vote on the board. Senator Howe? No.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Madam Clerk advised me that I was adding a member to the committee, so the bill reports 15 to none, and all the previous bills were 15 to 0, not 16. Thank you, Senator Edwards.
Thank you.
All right. Senator Black. SJ 254, page 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. SJ 254. This deals with the study for the possible repurchase of the Dulles Greenway, or perhaps restructuring in some fashion. The Dulles Greenway is a point of enormous political consternation within Loudoun and Prince William counties. It's the only privately owned tollway, and it has somewhat tenuous oversight by the FCC, which has proven to be unsatisfactory. What this bill does is it asks the Department of Transportation to conduct a study into the feasibility of purchasing all or part of the Greenway, perhaps restructuring the bonds, and doing so with an objective of passing along cost reductions to motorists, which incidentally include even the state police patrols, which are charged tolls. And that is the essence of the bill.
Thank you, Senator Black. And
Mr. Chairman.
Just to be clear, this doesn't change any of those structures yet. That's in other items moving through the legislature. This one is asking the department to look at some different options to bring relief to the citizens who use the Greenway.
That's exactly correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Stanley.
Very quickly, does your study also require VDOT to examine rate-based pricing on the toll road? That is, distance-based tolls that vary based on how much they use the Greenway in the distance traveled?
That language is not contained in this. It would not hurt to amend it to include distance-based tolling, to examine the possibility of that.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Stanley.
I'd move, and if staff could look to include distance-based pricing as a part of this study. And I would.
Motion has been made and seconded to add a review of distance-based pricing in the study. Is there any discussion? All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That's agreed to.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday in Finance, I was intrigued on the I-81 proposed tolling has a provision for one round trip every day at no cost. And I would like to add that to this bill as well to be looked at.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Carrico.
that was stripped out of the bill.
It was a great idea.
It's not in the bill, though.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Black, briefly.
While I would love to see that, I dearly would, I don't know how practical that would be. I think that would sort of send VDOT off on a rabbit chase.
Okay. So the motion that we have before us is the one amendment to add in the rate-based questions and so distance-based pricing. So with that, there's been a motion made and properly seconded to report SJ 254 with that one amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go to the, it's SJ. So all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is reported. Thank you, Senator Black.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator, this is page 10, and we'll flip on you. Senator Lewis just indicated that he would like to strike his final bill 1571. Senator Hanger moves and Senator Ruff seconds that 1571 on page 10 be stricken. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Senator Lewis must have gotten the note that that would have gone to finance had it passed. Senator Peake, at SJ 259, I know that this is something that's been discussed a bit and apparently has a price tag.
Let's see, 259, that is...
Study of Route 29 bypass.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Everything has a price tag, but that's why we have VDOT to do these type of studies. I tell you, this is very important right now because of Senator Obenshain's bill on 81. And so a lot of the truckers are saying if we put a toll on Interstate 81, all those trucks are going to go up Route 29 and horror of all horrors, get stuck right there in the heart of Charlottesville producing all that toxic diesel fumes. And so therefore, to work with my friends in Charlottesville, I think we need to study an eastern bypass because I know they don't want people getting stuck in the heart of Charlottesville. I've brought this a couple times, but now with the route Interstate 81 proposals, this is even more important, and I think VDOT should study it.
So you have two studies of proposals. Both of them have a impact. So if you were picking between this one and your next one, which would be 260, you feel this one's more important?
I do not have the fiscal impacts. Which one? How much is each one?
My notes indicate that it would cost $300,000 apiece.
A piece? Well, if we're going to spend 300,000 on each one, then let's go with the Charlottesville study.
Okay.
Because the Route 60 study really should not cost that much, because I'm going to amend that to eliminate Amherst, Appomattox, and Nelson.
If there's a motion to report, it would be re-referred to finance.
Well, that's fine. That's better than nothing. I'm sure finance is going to love these proposals.
Be careful what you wish for. So any discussion from any members of the committee? Is there a motion? So motion is that SJ 259 be reported and re-referred to finance. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And that is reported and re-referred to finance.
Where I'm sure will be well received.
So now, Senator Peak.
260.
Yeah, I think we've made our choice.
On Tuesday, I would amend that to eliminate Amherst, Nelson, Appomattox. So we just want to study Buckingham, Cumberland, Powhatan.
I don't think I was quite as direct as maybe I should have been, Senator Peak. You got one?
The other one's dead?
Yes.
I'll bring it back next year.
So motion is to pass by indefinitely SJ 260. Please, all in favor of that motion from Senator Wagner and seconded by Senator Carrico, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And that is passed by indefinitely. All right. Senator Reeves, SJ 276.
I did have one more. You want to get it over with?
We're going in our block.
Okay.
We're trying to do all the things that are similar and come back.
Mr. Chairman, I think there's technical amendments needed to reference the Senate first, I think, in this.
You have a technical amendment. Y'all want to pass that out?
I'd move the technical amendment, Mr. Chairman.
The technical amendment is strike House of Delegates in the Senate and insert Senate, the House of Delegates. The order was not appropriate on lines 28. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Now that that's in the proper order, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This just requests a CTB to study the portion of Interstate 95, the corridor between exit 118, Springfield interchange, and some of the financing options for improving that corridor. In 2017, there was a nationwide study that showed exit 133 up where I live of Interstate 95 was ranked the worst single traffic spot with 1,349 traffic jams over a 2-month study period. The portion of Interstate 95 northbound between Massaponax, Mr. Chairman, which is your area, and State Route 610, which is Garrisonville and North Stafford, was ranked the 7th worst traffic hotspot in the nation. This hotspot is projected to cost drivers $1.1 billion from 2017 through 2026 in time lost, fuel wasted, and carbon emitted.
Senator Reeves, I think it's in good shape.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'd move it.
Senator Stanley moves, Senator Vogel seconds that SJ 276 be reported as amended. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is reported. Senator DeSteff, SJ 291. Senator DeSteff.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is a wonderful bill. So what this does is, this one studies overseas ballots for deployed military. And it directs the Secretary of the Administration to oversee the development of a charter and directive for the State Board of Election to form a working group to study the implementation of electronic return of voting for deployed military overseas.
The Senator DeSteff, we've got a number of indications on this. One is the cost and some of the logistical abilities to implement this, particularly in a short year. So I would say that this is probably not the year to move this particular one forward. And I have some indication, even if you were successful here, it might have a short shelf-life. So how about instead of us having to report that, send it to finance and trying to figure out if we could make them meet, think maybe we need to hold this off for another year.
We can look at this next year, Mr. Chairman. Happy to do so.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Reeves.
I think there was a bill, I think Senator Lewis had a bill.
Senate Bill 1571.
And we were going to roll that bill into Senator DeSteff's bill, I believe, because.
Senator Lewis struck that one.
Okay, I'm sorry,
and
Mr. Chairman.
We couldn't have rolled a SJ into a bill.
Oh, okay, all right.
So two separate problems. So, but I do think that that making sure our military can vote appropriate. So it does create problems. I think that someone wants to speak in favor or no. So
I think
with
we
this,
have,
but
we do have speakers. I'm not sure if they're going to be for or against, or who actually wants to speak or not today.
Is there anybody here in favor? All right. So since we're not going to be moving this, we're going to short circuit the against. So let's try to see if we can come back to this again next year.
Great,
Senator
we'll work on it.
So motion is Senator Hanger moves, Senator Wagner seconds that SJ 291 be gently passed by for this year to be addressed next year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and that motion is agreed to. Senator DeSteff, SJ 309.
SJ 309, the good thing is it doesn't have to go to JLARC to study it, but we've asked VMRC to look at the feasibility of creating a protection zone for the submarine fiber optic cables and, I'm sorry, not submarine, submerged fiber optic cables. We have some of the most expensive fiber optic cables with the highest internet access coming up on our shores in Virginia Beach, as well as some military cables. And what we're trying to do is look at how to protect these from folks dragging anchors and intentionally trying to destroy or damage these multi-billion-dollar cables.
All right. Anybody here in the audience to speak to this bill? If that, it does not have physical impact. It looks like it's, okay, motion has been made to, and probably seconded, to report SJ 309. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And that motion is agreed to. So SJ 309 is reported. Senator Boysko, SJ 391. I think that's the last in this block. And this is requesting Housing and Community Development to study permitting processes for broadband deployment.
Correct. So I served on the Broadband Advisory Council over the past several years. We know that permitting is one of the roadblocks for implementing broadband, and we've had a lot of conversations about getting more renewable energy as well, and permitting seems to be a problem. So the study would have the Department of Housing and Community Development to identify and recommend streamlining existing fee structures, timelines for permit approval, procedures for modifying
I'm going to go ahead and
the permit.
stop you. Is anybody from Housing and Community Development here? Is there anybody else in the audience to speak for or against? With that, is there a motion? Motion has been made to report SJ 311, properly seconded. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is reported.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right, Senator Howell, SB 1067. Senator Howell, I'm going to start off as you're getting there. This is requiring the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Advisory to meet upon the call of the chairman when the majority of the members request a meeting. Current law says that they meet quarterly, and that's not been a workable structure. And you have taken one for the team and been our representative on this body for a number of years, for which we are very thankful. We should all thank Senator Howell for this. But I think this is one that the commission suggested would be very helpful to be.
And here's what happened, Mr. Chairman. Because we're required to meet quarterly, and that made sense when we were first established, we still are having to meet quarterly. Several months ago, there was a meeting I drove 3 hours to get to and 3 hours back, and the meeting was about 25 minutes just for the sake of having a meeting. So to save a lot of money and time.
We like doing that. So Senator Howell moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SB 1067 be reported. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote on the board.
Mamie, can you get me? Okay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
That bill was reported ayes 16 minus 1. Senator Obenshain's 1430. Senator Obenshain. This is also conflict of interest, dual office holding duties.
This bill does two things. One, it requires local government office holders to take the online ethics training that we all take. Second, it prohibits a Commonwealth's attorney from also serving as county attorney. There is a technical amendment in conjunction with the first part, the online ethics training.
So
which I move.
two amendments. Senator Hanger moves that on line 20, we insert the council may provide such training sessions by online means, and on line 24, after session, insert no penalty shall be imposed on a local elected official for failing to complete a training session. That's consistent with what we have in other places. All in favor of those amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Those are adopted. Senator Obenshain, I think that part of the bill is in great shape. There have been some concerns that across the state, particularly in some very small rural jurisdictions, that the Commonwealth's attorney and the county attorney, or county or city, or town, not city, but town attorneys really, there might not be many options. And so maybe that part needs to wait for a different.
If I can just make the argument that arose in situation that I have in my district, it's a conflict of interest issue. County attorney advised local government on actually on a open government issue, and then there was a dispute over whether the law was broken, and the county attorney had to recuse himself from the investigation and prosecution of open government issues, and the county had to retain outside or had to bring in an outside Commonwealth's attorney to prosecute. So that conflict of interest is what gave rise to this bill, and it concerns a lot of people in my local county.
And very much understand that particular situation, but that issue probably needs to be different from the rest of this. So Senator Stanley moves and Senator Vogel seconds that we take the language out of the bill that prohibits the county attorney and the Commonwealth's attorney from serving simultaneously. Understanding that you're not thrilled with that, but the rest of it is so important it needs to go forward. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
That amendment is agreed to. So with that, I think the bill is in good shape. Senator Hanger moves. Senator Howell seconds that SB 1430 be reported as amended and go to the board.
Thank you.
That bill is reported 17 minus 2. 15 to nothing. I have to read Reagan's arithmetic, and so I'm getting very good at that. Senator Chafin.
You're a good ditty.
I am. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1491 has an amendment.
All right. Pass out the amendment to, Mark, if you could read that to us.
Mr. Chairman, what the amendment would do is strike.
Can you hit the mic on?
Mr. Chairman, it's on. What the amendment would do is strike the iterations in the bill of superintendent, replace it with this language. Line 51, at the end of the line, insert F. Notwithstanding any provision of this section, the provisions of this section shall not apply to the employment by any school district of the father, mother, brother, sister, spouse, son, daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, or brother-in-law of any superintendent, provided that, 1, the superintendent certifies that he had no involvement with the hiring decision, and 2, the assistant superintendent certifies to the members of the governing body in writing that the employment is based upon merit and fitness and the competitive rating of the qualifications of the individual, and that the superintendent of the division had no involvement with the hiring decision.
All right, so y'all have heard the amendment. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Wagner moves that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. So now that is in shape, Senator Chafin, assuming from conversations we've had in some rural areas, this is challenging when there might have been some member and then you elect or the selection of a superintendent that excludes, in particularly rural areas, people from serving.
Yes, you're correct, Mr. Chairman. Because of many issues, financial issues primarily, hiring school superintendents is difficult, especially trying to get qualified people who may not have a lot of connections within the county, and in particular cases, you like to bring in new superintendents that have been successful somewhere and have a track record. Oftentimes, they have a spouse that is a teacher, and because of the geographic locations, it's very difficult for them to give up money on their salary plus have their spouse be employed an hour and a half away from their home.
And with the amendment, this bill is more narrowly tailored to make sure there eliminates possibilities of.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with this amendment, the amendment exactly follows the verbiage that is involved with the hiring of family members of school board members.
Okay.
So
Right.
it follows that same track.
Which I believe we dealt with yet last year. All right, is there a motion? Motion is that SB 1491 as amended be reported. All in favor of that motion, please go to the board.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
14-1, that bill is reported.
Thank you very much.
All right, Senator DeSteffe. Committee members know the time, so we are trying to move quickly to get this done.
Mr. Chairman, I can do both of these in less than a minute.
Excellent. 1101.
On 1101, Mr. Chairman, what this does is this allows the Office of the Attorney General to represent a member of the General Assembly in any civil matter alleging that the member is in his official capacity in violation of the Freedom of Information Act.
So the question with this one is that finance has indicated to me that this would have an impact. So the correct motion would be to report and re-refer whether it does have the impact that the Office of Attorney General is saying that they'd have to have a senior attorney, a junior attorney, and a paralegal. Seems somewhat excessive, but it still has to go to finance.
Mr. Chairman, I think I've seen one instance of this in the last 7 years. So if they need 3 attorneys for that, those are some pretty board attorneys.
So, all right, motion.
Have you seen them try to screw in a light bulb over there?
I have not, Mr. Chairman.
Takes more than one.
Senator Stanley moves, Senator Hanger seconds that Senate Bill 1101 be reported and re-referred to finance. All in favor of that motion, please vote on the board. That is
Ayes 15, noes 0.
ayes 15, noes 0, and that is reported, re-referred to finance. Senator DeSteffe, 1152. Question: you're taking 2 4-year terms and allowing them to be 4 4-year terms?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, we're taking the number of terms that they can serve from 2 to 4. But they're 4-year terms today for the non-legislative citizen members, and we have some continuity on that board that has just been invaluable when it comes to understanding the concept of what we're trying to do with the Chesapeake Bay, protect the Chesapeake Bay license plates and the distribution of those funds.
Okay. Any members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is at the request of the board, unanimous request of the board.
All right, operate on motion. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that Senate Bill 1152 be reported. All in favor of that, please signify by voting on the board.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero, and that's reported. Senator Hanger, I'm going to let you go ahead and, are you ready for your? No, you have 1316.
Oh, my bill. Okay, sure.
You can do it from right here if you would like.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
This is Senator Ruff. You also have on page 2.
I would move that my bill be rolled into his bill, 1732.
Motion is that Senate Bill 1732 be rolled in and Senator Ruff be listed as chief co-patron to Senate Bill 1316. All in favor of that motion, please vote on the board.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. That motion's agreed to. Senator Hanger.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. This deals with the major employment, the MEI Commission. This past year, Senator Ruff had the opportunity to chair that commission. We have 3 members of the Senate, and we were really confronted this year with some major employment opportunities with significant investment. And working with staff, it appeared that we needed to tweak it a little bit to make it a little better. This bill would propose to add 1 additional Senate member. The House currently has 5 members.
It only make it better, Mr.
That will make it better. No, well, we got to do a couple other things too, Mr. Chairman. There's some technical amendments. One of the key provisions. I'd like to offer an amendment, Mr. Chairman, on. I got the wrong. Here we go. On page. I got it here. Here it is. On page 2, line 72. After 48 hours, we're extending the staff from VEDP. They get these packages of information, and under current language, they have 48 hours to turn the information over to us, give us time to look at it in 48 hours. We wanted to extend that to a longer period. We've agreed. I have 10 in the bill, but we've agreed, and I'd like to amend that to say 5 days, that they would have to get that information to us no less than 5 days rather than 10.
And that's on line 72.
Yes, and I would offer that as an amendment.
Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds, that the amount of time be amended to 5 days. Do you have that, Mark? Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to.
And the others are relatively minor and technical. It does add tourism and film projects to economic development projects that could be reviewed, and overall isn't just intended to make the process a little smoother for those of us that are representing the rest of you all in these major decisions.
Hearing that, any further discussion? Anybody in the public wish to opine one way or the other? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
So moved that it be recorded.
Motion has been made and properly seconded that Senate Bill 1316 with Senate Bill 1713 rolled in and Senator Ruff as a co-patron as amended be reported. All in favor, please vote on the board.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. That bill is reported. Senator Hanger, if you could chair while I do these 2 bills.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Go right ahead.
Senate Bill 1377, Mr. Chairman, this right now on the Code Commission, the Registrar of Regulations is technically appointed by the Code Commission, but the practice for a number of years has been that Registrar of Regulations is actually an employee of the Division of Legislative Services, so this would make it clear that they actually are an employee of Division of Legislative Services.
Okay. Any amendments needed on that?
No.
Okay. You've heard the bill. What's the pleasure of the committee? Motion properly supported to report Senate Bill 1377. Clerk, open the roll. And that bill is reported by 3 times 5.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill is reported. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1378. This bill is referencing the Uniform Law Commission. Members may not be aware, but you can become a Uniform Law Commissioner by a matter of right or by appointment. We don't have anything else that's in the legislative branch that the joint rules does not have some overview over. So this would, and the Uniform Law Commission represents us at a national set of meetings. This gives the approval of their expenditures for all those meetings to come back through the legislative process like we all have to do. This somehow got created over time, and then there was no oversight.
Okay. All right, you've heard the measure. Any amendments needed? None. What's the pleasure of the committee? Motion properly supported to report Senate Bill 1378. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, I think we have two more left. Senator Peak, you have Senate Bill 1556 on page 10.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And don't be fooled by the fact that I'm here on this bill. It's actually a good bill, Senator Donovan's bill. And I had to carry it because she had run out of her list. So I think it actually makes sense. This is to close a loophole. It's the $10,000. I think what she found or her constituent found was that they might have a $10,000 or less job and move them to 1, 2, or 3 different jobs and therefore not report it. And this allows that to be caught on audit.
Gotcha. So, Mark, is there an amendment? Is there some technical amendments needed on this? Technical substitute? Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds the substitute. Substitute includes technical language to reinstate language that was stricken as originally introduced.
That's
what
I thought, yes.
So all in favor of the substitute being agreed to, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. So anybody have any, in the public wish to opine on the substitute to Senate Bill 1556? Hearing none.
Move to report.
This motion has been made to report Senate Bill 1556 in the nature of a substitute with Senator Peak's name on it. All in favor of that, please signify by voting on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero, and that's reported. Thank you, Senator Peak. Senator McClellan, on the bottom of page 10, SJ 297, and I think that the clerk's office said the resolve clauses were not exactly in the proper form that we traditionally did. I don't think it changes the nature of the rest of it, but they just cleaned that up last night in the substitute, which I have not yet seen. But Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds the substitute to Senate Joint Resolution 297. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. And that is agreed to. Senator McClellan.
Yes. Senate Joint Resolution 297 is a recommendation of the Virginia Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission. It does a couple of things. One, modeled after the resolution we passed in 2007 regarding slavery, it acknowledges and expresses profound regret that racial terror lynchings occurred in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But it also charges the King Commission to work on a project to compile all information we can on documented lynchings in the Commonwealth in one place, to work with the Department of Historic Resources to identify sites for potential highway markers, to work with the Equal Justice Initiative on their Community Remembrance Project, which is collecting soil from across the nation from lynching sites, and they have mirror monuments to their individual monuments for lynching victims that they're trying to bring back to localities. So we would coordinate their discussions with localities in Virginia. This was brought to my attention by a constituent of Senator Hanger's, who had been working on a commemorative event for the 100th anniversary of a lynching in Culpeper, and we realized this was bigger than that one thing and that the King Commission was the appropriate state agency to do it. No fiscal impact. We can do this within our existing budget.
All right. Is anybody from the public here to speak? All right, Senator Hanger.
Mr. Chair.
I would just say there is a constituent from Culpeper who's done quite a bit. And she spent a good bit of time with me, and I'm sure with you all. It's a very good initiative.
And she is on our working group, as are historians, legislators, family members of lynching victims.
Motion has been
Mr.
made.
Chairman.
Senator Carrico.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a couple of comments, and I know my comments are not associated to anybody that I serve with in this General Assembly. I want to make that clear. While I don't condone nor will I accept the fact that lynching or any other violence is appropriate in Virginia, anywhere across the country, having served to try to find and to bring to justice those individuals that do things like this, I believe that, what is being asked for us to make an apology for something that we didn't do. I never lynched anyone. Innocent people out here who have never engaged in these kind of crimes, we're asking them to apologize for things that they didn't do, and that the monsters that committed these crimes are the ones that should be apologizing. And I realize that these monsters may not be around these days for them to apologize, but they are the ones that need to be apologizing and not us. Now, I, like everyone that sits on this dais, have to answer to the people who vote for me. But I just feel very, very sad that we are sitting here today and we can never move past the sins of others in our past by trying to bring innocent people and making them feel guilty for the sins of that past. And all it does is keep driving a wedge deeper and deeper and deeper. And I just cannot support something like this. And to say that I have to apologize for something I didn't do, and the majority of people today had no hand in doing.
Mr. Chair, if I may, very briefly.
Just briefly, Senator McClellan.
The words "express profound regret" were chosen very carefully, because while you may not necessarily feel the need to apologize for something, you can and often do acknowledge that something happened and you regret it happened. I certainly was not responsible for slavery, but I am profoundly regretful that it happened. And that is what this resolution is to do. And we cannot heal as a nation, as a commonwealth, these individual communities, if we don't talk about what happened and how it impacts these communities today. And that is the purpose of this resolution and this project, so that we can acknowledge what happened, because for many, many years, the Commonwealth of Virginia didn't acknowledge it. Now, we did pass an anti-lynching resolution to begin the process of acknowledging. This begins the process of healing.
The motion has been made to report, and that is before us, and this is a SJ, so it is a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to report SJ 297, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
No.
And that motion is reported. Thank you, Senator
Mr.
McClellan. I want to, even though we got started a little bit late, Madam Clerk, does that complete the bills on the docket? So we got started a little bit late. Thank y'all for moving through these very quickly and your attention. And with that, the committee will rise.